Hola, hola, Francis Prado here in Carpo con Chingones. We're going to do an English version on what are the most important things to know before you buy a car with the salvage title. I have Pedro Cardenas here, who's been a frame technician for more than 40 years, who's going to provide us today with 40 tips on how and what to look for before you buy a salvage car. Pete, come on in. Good morning. How are you?
Good. So these are 10 tips.
Yes. Carpool con Chingones, carpool with badasses. We're here with journeyman Pedro Cardenas, 40 years as a frame technician that has worked for many companies, has had his own business, and is, in my opinion, a badass in getting and repairing vehicles.
Stop it. I feel chingon already. I get it. All right. Good morning, everybody out there.
Pete, I brought you here today because I think it's very important for people to know what they need to know, the information, the tips, and the tools that you could provide us to everyone watching who wants to buy a car with a salvage title, but it's a little iffy or a little concerned. And what do you recommend? Do you have your tips?
Sure. I got them all written down here in my pocket. I got 10 tips that are going to give you an idea how to buy a salvage car. Nothing to discourage you, but just something that you want to keep in mind when you're buying one.
Because I think the first thing, well, I'll be honest, the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear the word salvage title, I ask myself, Francis, is that a safe car for you to drive?
Well, these little tips I'm going to give you, they'll be safe. And I've bought and I've used salvage cars all my life. So just little key points that you need to know to keep you and your family safe in these cars.
Okay, so what's the first one?
All right, well, get right to it. Don't waste no time. Okay.
Well, we want everybody to know, and I'm excited to know that you share over 40 years of your experience here with people that are watching and wanting to know what should we look out for before we buy a car that's with the salvage title.
Well, you guys are going to get schooled today.
Okay.
I've got my bifocals on here. And let me get my points. We did it in Spanish, but now we're going to do it in English for all the people, just to everybody get a little hang of. Some of the people don't understand Spanish, but too good. You got it in English.
That's the beauty of being bilingual, that we have this opportunity to reach a larger audience because we're able to speak in Spanish and English. So again, shout outs to Mr. Cardenas, who made it very important for us to be bilingual. So shout out to Mr. Cardenas.
Okay. Well, one of the first key points I think is, of course, you're going to drive the car. Drive it on the freeway, drive it in the streets. Give it a 15-20 minute drive. Get a good drive into it. That'll give you the drive cycle in your car and see if any check engine lights turn on at that moment. It might be costly in the future. And also you're checking for wind noise or any noise that don't sound normal to you. And that's usually a good point when don't put the music on too loud. Just bring it down. You can hear every little thing in it. And that's one of the key points I check for when I'm driving the car like that. That's the number one.
Okay.
And, the second would be an alignment. Now, alignment is really important because you want a four-wheel alignment on your car. Why? Because you want to make sure it's still true. The tires are sitting where they're supposed to be. That'll keep you from drifting to a side or improper tire wear, costly tires that you get to replace all the time. And sometimes by not passing alignment, there's issues with it. And that's one of the main things I recommend. I mean, you're going to spend $80 or $100, whatever, for an alignment, but I think it's well worth it for that kind of insurance to make sure everything's in the green and everything's correct on the bottom.
So Pete, you're telling me if the car does not pass alignment, stop.
Yeah, stop. It's got a little more issues. Maybe the guy wants to fix it and pass.
And it's not worth it.
Yeah, there's something wrong. Still something wrong with it. And somebody said, well, it's close enough. No, it's not close enough. It's got to be dead on.
Let it go.
Walk away.
Okay.
Get yourself another one. I mean, and maybe he'll correct that and sell that in the future. And, but that's one of the key points that I would check.
Okay.
Okay, after the car's in alignment, they're going to lift it up on the hoist, on their rack, and they'll do the alignment under there and see if it passes. While the car's up there, sometimes they'll let you go on there and see it. Sometimes they won't. Well, ask the tech. If they don't let you go see it, hey, take a look underneath for me. Make sure you don't see any buckles or rust. They welded it. There's been a corrosion protection, something like that. So in the future, it won't rust through, and it's all sealed up. And he'll see from front to back if something's really crinkled up there or something's just not right. And that's another thing to prevent too. So when it's up in the air, it's checking the car from top to bottom. That's what you're doing. So the tech will do that for you if you can't go in there visually look at it yourself and check from one side to the other side. Make sure everything's there on the bottom.
Hey Pete, I was just thinking about that. Can you also hand that tech your camera, your video, your phone, and have them record for you, right? If they don't allow you to go underneath the vehicle, but you can give them the phone and have them record underneath the vehicle for you.
Yeah, you can do whatever. Yeah, check it out. Make sure you'll get the guy that's selling you a lot nervous and selling the car, but it just he would know. He would know if there's something needs to be done.
Okay.
He would know. He would recommend that.
Okay.
I think. So the fourth one is check all the body lines. Body lines mean open and close all the doors. Make sure they don't pop on you, because that means something's not pulled out all the way. Check your hood, opens and closes good, and it's not popping. You don't have to slam it 2-3 times to shut it. And that's just an indication that everything's okay. The trunk opens good, doesn't pop. The doors are open good, and all that. It's got something to do with the damage of the car. You don't want to open a door and it pops out to you, and there's something wrong with it. If you can live with that, that's fine. But there's some parts of it you can negotiate the price or have the guy fix it at one point. These are all fixable.
So open all the doors, open the trunk, open the hood, and make sure everything closes properly.
Yeah, check your body line, check your grill, check your headlights, make sure everything's sitting good. Just little things that you watch out for.
Okay.
I mean, usually you go up to a car and say, oh, wow, this looks nice, and jump in and yes, I want it. But these are little key points just to look at.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to tell the guy, just look at it yourself and see.
Okay.
See what's on it, okay? Second, I recommend, this might seem a little weird, but take it to the car wash. Why? Because the pressure of the water was pushing on in all angles of the car. That's going to tell you if the water gets in the trunk, you got to leak it through the door. It's leaking somewhere. That'll avoid your mildew and that wet smell look. You say, what's that smell? And it's just water creeping inside. Don't be afraid to open the trunk and pick up that carpet in the bottom and look. See if there's a puddle of water there. You don't want a river back there or nothing like that, but just something to check for. And if there's something there, it's an issue that can be addressed. Maybe it wasn't caulked and sealed properly, and maybe the guy can fix it for you. And just since he already knows the car, then he'll get that thing fixed for you. It's just stuff that you're going to look out and won't prevent in the future.
Wow, Pete, I would have never thought that a car wash would reveal those type of challenges in a vehicle. And that's so easy.
Yeah, that's
just taking a car wash. Wow.
What's the car wash going to cost you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stuff like that. And then check all the documents,
Okay.
Check your VIN numbers and your doorpost and by your windshield. Make sure that everything corresponds to your vehicle register with the paperwork he has. So
With the title.
With the title. Some don't even have the title yet. They just pass it on. So, but still, there's documents there to tell you everything and the mileage and all that. Make sure everything corresponds the same.
Okay.
So you'll be okay with that.
Check your documents.
Check your documents and the mileage and all that. Another thing to look for is when you're sitting in your car, check the airbags, on the dash. And make sure they're not patched up, Make sure they're the original. Everything's on there. And with this avoid, sometimes I hate to say it, but sometimes they just get patched up and you won't look at them. Or maybe the other guy bought it and they were all patched up already and he didn't know about it. Just make sure it's all original. And you can tell right away, if it's original from one side to the next. You can see, or in the middle. And even though no airbag lights on, but you'll see. There's a lot of ways they do. But just make sure everything's good. Check your headliners too on top. Sometimes the curtains go out and you'll know that it's been replaced. And that's another thing to check for.
Because that could save your life, right, Pete?
Oh, yeah.
That's an investment that you want to make sure, if you're going to get salvaged, that you have the airbags are working properly.
Yeah, and a scanner will tell you everything's working good too.
Okay.
Just cheap little scanners will tell you if everything's good, and your dashboard lights too. It'll tell you all that. But there's a lot of ways to get around all that stuff. But just check visually. Visually.
Visual inspection.
This way, you know that you're in the car and something happens, it's gonna work again. That's the thing. Okay. So we checked the airbags. Now, another thing to look for is, after you got your car washed, park it on the sun. Let the sun hit the side. Walk about maybe 15 feet, 20 feet away, and look around the car on the side. You'll see if the paint matches, and you see the blemishes. Once the sun hits it direct, you'll know it. If you buy a car in the afternoon, you're not going to see all that different color change. If you're good with it and it's okay, then it's up to you. But sometimes the colors are really off, so you're driving and it might bother you. And you see it in the silvers and the golds and all that, and the pearls. So look at your color from all angles in the sun, and that's just a good visual inspection on the outside. Don't close up, you can't get to see it, but when you see it outside, then you'll see it. You'll see the good. You'll see where they painted and what's been done to it. Okay, so that's another thing to look out for. Okay, now here we are, number 9. Okay, now of course when you buy a salvage, you're gonna probably need a brake and light inspection. Some have already been registered and you won't need it, but some of them you need a brake and light inspection, and you might even need a CHP inspection. Now what they do is just check all the VIN numbers and everything corresponds good. If it's missing something or has a VIN number of another car part, usually they check all that, make sure the parts are not stolen or stuff like that. So that's a good little thing to look out for. And usually if you take it to a third party DMV registration place, they'll tell you exactly right there. That's number.
They'll do that for you?
No, that's number. Yeah, that's number 10. Number 10 is they'll do that. Independent guys. There's some businesses that provide all the services, which is brake, light, smog, even certification for the CHP, and you avoid all that. And they'll tell you exactly if the car owes any plates on it, it's current, registered, and if there's any money owed on it.
So they'll run the reports, get that information for you.
Yeah, they'll run the report and get all that, so you know you're buying that car, and you'll know exactly how much you have to end up paying for that car on the registration. You don't want to buy something with plates expired a while back and then you get the fees on it. So that's really important on that. So like I said, those are the 10 tips I would check on the car. Of course, we talked a little fast, but you can go back and see this video 3 or 4 times and write it down if you like. And that's just some ideas. Don't be afraid of buying a salvage. I drove salvages all my life. But just some little key points, that you could use to negotiate the price and, have something that's going to last you for a while. And of course, if you're afraid of all this and you don't want to deal with all that, well, yeah, you can buy your car from the dealer. But then you got that, everybody's different. Some people could afford it, some people can't. Some people don't want that car payment. Who wants to do 6 years of that? So it all depends. And you might get something really good because there's good cars out there too. That are great cars and will last you a while, and they hold the resale value again to sell them. Again after you use them a couple of years. That's what happens. And you get a lot of your money back because you bought it at a really good price.
Pete, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you mentioned before, that if you buy a salvage vehicle and you were to get into an accident, what's the heads up we need to know with the insurance, what value they're going to pay on your vehicle?
So most of the insurance already got wise on the thing now. What happens is they say, oh well, my car's worth this much and you total it, I need this much, but they don't do that no more because the car actually, they go down almost 50% of the value on the car when it's totaled out again. So, and usually it'll go percentage wise on what the car is worth, and so they figure out 50% less. So your car is likely going to be total again real quick.
So it doesn't go in your favor.
No, it doesn't go in your favor. That's why it's a lot of people just get a liability. You always take it back to the guy you bought it, and he'll fix it for cheap again. Something like that. But it's just something to think about. You know, even though if you got full coverage, it's still going to go on that 50% of the value. They tell you, you know, right away. And they do that for insurance fraud, for people who won't buy a salvage car and then total it out and try to get all the money for it. So they cut wise off that through the years. So there's something to look out for, you know. It's going to total out real quick, and then you're off to the next one. That's what's going to happen.
Pete, and is there a preference or less damage to a vehicle when a vehicle is crashed on the back or in the front?
You know, I prefer, you know, everywhere. You know, there's some side hits that are real good because you got the front and back intact.
Okay.
And the front end, some are light hits, you know, not too hard. And that's good. You see the Carfax will tell you exactly where the car's been hit before. You know,
Okay.
They give you a computer a readout. Or you'll see where it's been hit. And you know, of course, the front's got more components. There's all the computers up there, the radiator, AC, and all the monitors. Everything's in front, sensors and all that. So that's why it gets really expensive sometimes. That's why the cars total out quite a bit because all the components are in front.
Okay.
And that's why. So usually you get hit in the rear, and there's really not that much going on. Sometimes even the airbags don't go off in the rear. So
Okay.
you know, the sides. Well, yeah, you know, they replace the sides. Side hits are good too. So everything is good, just as long as you check all your points. You know, and make sure that all that's good, and then that's just the key. I mean, you're still going to buy a salvage. That's the thing, you know. But the thing is, you're trying to prevent a headache in the future, you know, and what you're getting into. This is for the first-time buyers. I'm sure there's experts out there that know how to buy salvage cars, yeah. But this is something for the public if that is really thinking about it and just want to get into it, and you're getting a little schooled on buying a salvage car. So there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just something you want to look out for, you know. And like I said, you're doing all and when you do the transaction, it's good to go to the bank and do all the transaction there. You know, you can't walk around $20,000-$30,000 in your pocket. You know, so
Be
I feel
safe.
be safe. I'd like to do the transaction. If you do any transaction, do it in the bank. You know, and that'll be the best thing to do. And that's why, that's what I recommend. So, like I said, don't be afraid out there. There's plenty of good cars out there, and there's plenty of bad ones. So this goes to the buyers and the sellers. See, if you're selling it for the first time, you make sure all these things are taken care of before you sell that car. You know, and everything runs smoothly, and you know they'll recommend you to their family members, and you can sell another one to them. You know, that's what I recommend. So.
And that's a great point because you're also giving not only the buyer a heads up, you're also teaching someone who's selling a salvage vehicle the steps to go by so that, again, he remains with that credibility that he's selling a salvage car, but that it's already past these 10 points.
Yeah.
And he's going to establish a good reputation.
Yeah. I'm not hating on anybody, you know. I don't want to be a hater. That's just the thing. It'll help both sides.
Nice.
Yeah. So, a lot of people say, "Oh man, well, what'd you say all that for?" But it's just something that both parties would
Right.
do.
The seller and the
the
buyer.
seller and the buyer, and it benefits everybody. So that's just my experience.
Pete, what's your definition? Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for providing those tips. Again, it's a really good eye-opener, and it gives us an opportunity for people, and I would say including me, that does not have that experience. That's just, you hear the word salvage and you say, oh, no. But again, you educated us today on the pros and the cons and the things to look out for. So you've given us the information that we need in order to make a decision. And at the end of the day, it's our decision whether we want to go with the salvage or not. But again, I really appreciate these tips and I really appreciate the fact that you wrote them down, because you wanted to make sure that you covered all the tips, because sometimes when we go through the interview process, we forget, and at the end we say, oh man, I wish I would have said this. But again, you grounded in all your 10 tips to allow us to make the right decisions, inform us, and when we want to purchase a salvage vehicle. So again, I appreciate that, and I know our public's going to appreciate all those tips that you're giving us today.
Like I could have winged it with the top of my head, but I just wanted to make sure that these are the key points that I want to get across, and hopefully it helps you guys on your decision of buying a car, and
Well, I know now. Again, now I know I'm going to go take my car and make sure, even though my car's new, go check and make sure it's not leaking, because those are great points for anyone who owns a car.
It doesn't have to be a salvage car either.
Right.
You know, you could be, it's a used car, so you'll know everything. Because used cars, they get in accidents too, you know. And
right.
So you just want to check, make sure that it's you're buying.
Those tips are very helpful.
Yeah. And they're used to negotiate too, so it'll help you out. Hopefully it'll help you out.
Pete,
if it doesn't, well, we just wasted all morning.
Now it's gonna help out.
Oh, good.
Pete, so the show is Carpool con Chingones, and in English it's Carpool with Badasses.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion, or what is your definition of a badass?
Well, now you call me chingon and badass, so I'm pretty elevated, pretty high right now. Or maybe the coffee's kicking in, I don't know. But yeah, it's just something I've been doing all my life, so hopefully it helps you guys.
But what's a badass to you? What's a
Well, somebody has done this for quite a bit, you know.
Like you?
Yeah, in any trade or anything.
Okay.
There's plumbers, electrician, everybody got tricks of the trade. So that's just a little insight on my experience on these cars.
What's the hardest thing to be a frame technician for you?
Well, let me see if I can put this in perspective. If you have something that it's been crushed, somebody gave an accident, crushed it, and you got to put it back to where it was before. So that is a technician, to put everything back the way it was. So the repair itself, going through all your steps, and it's a form of art. I think it's a form of art to put something back the way it was. Like people do restorations and all that, you know, even make them better than they were originally, you know. That's the thing. It's something you fix. So I'm a fixer.
Wow, that is so awesome. Pete, so can you tell me something that someone has done for you that's impacted your life and that stayed in your heart forever? Because again, this is about making connections, about knowing a little bit of our personal side to be more approachable.
Oh, now you're dragging me across the street here.
Well, so what can you tell me something that someone has done for you that has impacted your life or that has changed your life forever?
Well, I give respect to my dad. He was a baker, and he says, I asked him, hey, why don't you show me how to make bread? I really like that. And he goes, well, I got to show you how to make bread because, you know, the hours, they're not good. You need to be sleeping all day and working all night. And I go, well, okay, well. So he put me closer to a friend of his, was a neighbor mechanic. And that's how we got the hang of working on cars and stuff. And from there I said, well, you know, they're like donuts. Why? Because everyone wants one. So, okay, I'll stick to cars. So eventually I tried other things, and I went back to cars.
So you think that simple decision of him saying, I'm not going to teach you how to be a baker because I don't like the hours that they work, but I'm going to put you in contact or put you in close with a mechanic, that was the turning point for you to have this 40-year career in cars?
Yeah, he found out something that I found out something that I like to do. So it's been helping me the whole life, and it's got me out of a lot of situations, and it's been good to me. I wish more young people get into this trade, because the old guys are leaving, and there's a lot of stuff still that needs to be, new talent needs to be getting in this field, you know. And it's a good challenge, you know, because you got to be physically and mentally for this challenge. It's tough work, but it's rewarding.
Awesome. Pete, and can you, on Carpool of Chingones, Carpool with Badasses, is what we do at the end of every interview. We ask you to nominate a badass, because again, it's all about spotlighting entrepreneurs here in San Diego that want to support one another in order for us to continue to grow our community and help entrepreneurs, small businesses here in San Diego. Do you have someone in mind that you would like to nominate as a badass to be interviewed here on Carpool con Chingones?
Well, I got a handful of guys that I know, but the one that sticks to the top of my head is probably my brother Joe, my older brother, and he's a really good mechanic, and he's very knowledgeable on mechanical work, and he's been doing it a little longer than I have. So I think he would be a really good mentor. for your show.
Awesome. Well, Pete, again, I want to thank you very much for spending this time with me today, and also giving me the opportunity to interview you in Spanish and now in English. This is our first English Carpool con Chingones, Carpool with Badass version, English version. So I really appreciate it, because again, we're here to support the community of entrepreneurs, small business. Let's keep the entrepreneurship spirit alive. And again, thank you for sharing your 40 years of tips. I'm going to put all your contacts on the YouTube channel. So if anyone has any questions, they could reach out to you. And also, I'm going to put down those 10 tips, because I think those 10 tips were very valuable. And for anyone who's interested in buying or actually selling a salvage title, and giving them valuable information in order for them to make the decisions that they need to make if they want to purchase a vehicle. Do you have any parting words?
Well, yeah. Well, the thing I could say is, for all the contacts, we'll go all to you.
Okay.
Because I really not all into that.
Okay.
But it's still good. I mean, you were related.
I'll be the connector.
Yeah,
I'll
be the connector. And then in the future, if they want to show on other things, on maybe buying or a car's direct from the auction, other things to look for, So that might be helpful in the future. But for now, I think the 10 tips, look at this video 2-3 times. The more like, the better. So,
okay.
So support this channel, guys.
Awesome.
And you might get more content that might be worth your while. Okay. Thank you anyways.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time, Pete. Thank you very much for your tips, and we'll be in contact. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.